Good morning, everyone. It is chilly outside today, and yet the first spring flowers are already in bloom, and there is just so much color and beauty all around. It is so exciting. I remember that since I was a child, I have always felt very deeply about the world around me and was also easily affected by both happy as well as sad emotions and situations. I could easily cry when I was happy or when I was sad, and I still do. And in general, I guess I would have described myself as quite a sensitive child. I often prefer to be out in nature, among the flowers, and in peace and quiet, instead of being with friends. This is something I noticed throughout my childhood, but even more so as I got older. It was only quite recently that I was introduced to the term of highly sensitive person that I realized how much I resonated with this type of personality. In short, a highly sensitive person is someone whose mind and body responds more deeply to the world around them, and therefore they may also feel every emotion on a deeper level too, and this can be both a wonderful thing, but also a challenge. This is definitely something I can relate to, and it was fascinating to realize that there are also many other people out there who also share this personality. I used to think that crying more often, or in general being more sensitive and needing more time alone, was a weakness and something I needed to improve, or that it was limiting me in some way. I felt I needed to be louder or stronger. However, over time, I've come to realize that there are many wonderful sides to being a more sensitive person and the way I'm able to experience the world. For me, I find great joy and excitement not only in the big things, but also in the most smallest things in my life. A blue sky, a robin deep in song, or the delicate softness of a flower petal between my fingertips. And a love for nature and the magic of the natural world is something I have always felt since my childhood. Flowers, fairies, and magical worlds. I used to think that my childhood hobbies and fantasies were silly, but even now they bring me so much joy, peace, and comfort, and they help me to create a kind of environment where I feel at my best, when the world around me can feel overwhelming sometimes. If you may feel similar to me, and that the world can feel a little too much at times, I believe that by appreciating and embracing your own personality, who you are and what you need, can help you create and nurture the environment where you can also take a breath, feel at peace, and be yourself. So I have made my violet syrup here and I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to go great on things like pancakes maybe, or even just a little bit in my tea and coffee, because I love adding, for example, honey to my tea and coffee. So I think this is going to go really nicely, and it's a beautiful light pink color, because I managed to find in my local bit of nature violets that were really light pink colored. Maybe in some places they are much more darker kind of color, maybe a darker purple, you'll often find, but where I found them, they were kind of very light purple, almost pinky. So then when you add the little splash of lemon juice, you get the hue of pink or purple, depending on how dark your flowers were in the first place. So mine turned out this beautiful kind of baby pink color, and I really love it. I think it's really beautiful. So I can't wait to use it, and it was just so lovely foraging for those wild violets. So if you find some in your local area, I highly recommend, as I think it is really tasty, and I think it's going to go really well with lots of things. And yes, I am drinking here my rose tea. So this is just some organic dried rose petals in boiling water, just a very simple rose tea infusion, and it just smells so calming and soothing and just so wonderful. I really love rose. It's one of my favorite plants to work with, and something you can work with pretty much all year round, and in different versions of rose as well, from the petals to the rose hips. So I find rose really beautiful, and I found myself just being so inspired recently, walking outside these past week or 2 weeks, and just seeing all the flowers slowly blossoming, very slowly, more of them coming out, and it's just so many colors everywhere, and it's really inspired me to use all the flowers and kind of find the new ways of incorporating what I find into my herbal practice. So it's been really inspiring for me. Something else that's also really inspired me this week is actually a book I've been reading, and I'll share that book with you in just a minute. But the topic of the highly sensitive person is something that's really interested me recently. As I mentioned in the video, this is a term that I only heard of very recently, and maybe I'm really late to the game, I don't know, but as soon as I heard about it, I was really curious and wanted to go online and find out what it actually was, what it was all about. And I was really fascinated to actually read and realize that everything that was talked about, I felt that I deeply resonated with and I could really relate to, and that the way things were described was perhaps how I maybe have felt my entire life, and just kind of those feelings I used to have, thinking that it was kind of just my own way of living and my own kind of way of introvertedness, maybe, of my own introversion. But it was fascinating to realize that actually there are so many people who also feel a very similar way about life and share this kind of personality trait, and feel the same things as I do. And it was just really fascinating to realize that there were other people who were also feeling the same way. And I thought that maybe I would make a short video and at least just share some of my own experiences to just share, I guess, and maybe if it could help anyone, or if it is just interesting to listen to, perhaps, I don't know. But what I do know is when I heard other people talking about it, it felt so like an acknowledgement, and it felt so comforting and nice to know that there are other people who experience life in a very similar way to me and feel the way I do, and that I'm not alone in this. So yeah, I thought I would just share a short video, and hopefully it might be a little bit interesting to perhaps some of you here. And so this is the book I've been reading. It's called Highly Sensitive People in an Insensitive World: How to Create a Happy Life. And I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the author, unfortunately, because I don't want to get it wrong and to say it incorrectly. But this is the book, and I have not yet finished it because I am indeed a very, very, very slow reader. And I really like to take my time and kind of digest everything and go through things, make sure I really understand what I've read, especially when it comes to kind of a little bit more sort of books with a bit more science or research in them. So I am going through it quite slowly, but what I have read so far has been very fascinating and really eye-opening. So this book essentially talks about the characteristics of highly sensitive people, the kind of personality trait that this is, and the author herself, she writes about her own experience of being a highly sensitive person and explains kind of how what she feels and how she sees and feels life. And she also in here has statements, and she interviews other highly sensitive people who give accounts of their own life experiences and different aspects of their life and how it feels for them. And so there's quite a lot of research in here and a little bit of science and facts and things like that. So it really does explain really well kind of the basis of what this personality trait is. And essentially she explains that highly sensitive people have both challenges, there's challenges to this personality, but also really wonderful and lovely sides to this as well. So the challenges being, for example, that if you're a highly sensitive person, you may feel tired more quickly, overwhelmed more quickly with the world and people around you. You may find, for example, long social interactions quite draining, and you will need to spend a lot more time alone in your own company to kind of come back to your own state, your own peaceful state where you feel calm and feel like yourself again. So this is something I can definitely relate to, and something I have always felt, I think. As I mentioned, I always preferred to spend I loved being in my own company always, all my life, and I loved spending time in nature, and I loved spending time with my family and people I'm really close to and feel comfortable with, as opposed to maybe spending lots of time in very social situations with people that I don't know, and that can be quite draining for me personally. But then the author also mentions all the wonderful sides to being a sensitive person. So for example, she says that these types of people are normally really connected to nature and really admire things like art and other visually beautiful things, and that they have a very deep and lively inner world and a full imagination and are really creative and things like that. So there's also really good sides to it too. And I feel like for myself, definitely when I lean in much more to my more sensitive and kind of vulnerable side, I am definitely able to enter that space where I am much more creative and much more myself. And I think I've done some of my best kind of projects and felt most at peace when I really kind of lean into that side of me, as it helps me to be who I am. And so yes, I think I could really relate to that quite a lot. And so yeah, this book has been really eye-opening for me personally, and maybe it will be helpful for anyone out there watching as well. It was really interesting to read about this kind of personality, and yeah, to just realize that all these things that I've been feeling, that kind of I'm not alone, and there are other people as well who experience life in a very similar way to me, and that there are challenges to this and also very, very good things. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it. I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think at the end of the day, you know, I think everyone should just kind of be who they are and embrace who they are with their own personality, no matter what kind of personality you have. And I think that that really helps us to really be our best when we lean into that. But I wanted to share this anyway and kind of share my own experience on this topic. And if you have any experiences or stories or opinions or anything that you'd like to share on this subject, then please do share in the comments below. It is always so interesting to hear all the different opinions and stories that people share and different views and perspectives. So please do share if you have any insights. It is always so interesting to hear from you all. And with that, I will wish you a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And I hope to see you soon in my next video. Take care, guys.